Stanley, close to the top of page 37. After only a week of this behaviour, I decided I'd had enough. I went out to her one night with Stanley. I knew she was in the kennel. I told her I was sorry and that I would never not trust her again. Stanley, too, offered his words of apology. "I'm sorry, Zapper. I'll not eat your bone again," he pledged. Zapper poked her nose out through the doorway. Stanley screamed with delight and planted a big wet kiss on it. Then he shoved a suitor into her mouth, insisting that she keep it as a present from him. It wasn't long afterwards that we decided to send Zapper to my cousin Paul, who owns a farm in Kilkenny. Burr and I spent many hours discussing the matter. Neither of us wanted to see her go. She was a huge part of our lives. We had got her as a pup and had taken great delight in training her and watching her develop into the wonderful pet she became. In fact, not only was she a great pet, but she was also one of the best friends I ever had. Gentle, obedient, intelligent, and affectionate, she meant so much to us all. However, to continue to keep both herself and Stanley in one house would have been far too dangerous. Too dangerous, that is, for Zapper. Therefore, as it wasn't possible to give Stanley away, and nobody would have taken him anyway, we decided to contact Paul. Luckily, Paul was delighted to be able to take such a fine animal as Zapper. Paul is a dog lover and has several dogs of different breeds on his farm. Zapper thus would have made loads of new friends. However, as we drove to Kilkenny that morning, we did so in silence. Stanley sobbed his eyes out in the back seat where he sat for the last time with his beloved Zapper. Despite all the crazy things he used to do to her, Stanley adored her. In the rear-view mirror of the car, I caught sight of Stanley hugging her tightly and Zapper licking the tears from Stanley's cheeks. He kept pleading with us not to give her away. "Don't do it, Daddy! I love Zapper!" he cried. I just drove on in silence, ignoring his pleas, which he repeated over and over again. We didn't stay very long in Kilkenny, as we felt it would be best to just hand over Zapper and go. Paul was waiting at the gates of the avenue leading up to the farmhouse. I explained that we were a bit upset and that we would prefer to drive back home immediately. Being a lover of animals, he understood how we felt. Each of us gave Zapper one last hug and kiss. I felt a lump rise in my throat as I rubbed her warm coat for the last time. Then I had to drag Stanley away as he held on with all his might to Zapper's neck. "Come back, Zapper! Come back to Stanley!" he roared as tears streamed down his little red face. Burr wiped her eyes with a tissue as Paul walked back up the avenue. We watched from the gates as they got nearer to the house. As they rounded the corner at the top of the avenue, Paul turned to wave. Zapper, too, turned to face us with those big, brown, sad eyes. Waving frantically, We shouted more goodbyes. Stanley climbed up onto the gate and roared, "Zapper! I come see you tomorrow." Zapper opened her mouth wide, turned on her heels, and fled.